Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going back to Kobe, Japan, summer of 1990. We're looking at a case that's, well, more than just a tragic accident. It's really about this clash between extreme institutional rules, particularly about punctuality, and a young student's life.
Right. We're talking about Ryoko Ishida, 15 years old, a high school student who died crushed by a huge steel gate, all because she was rushing to meet a deadline.
So our sources today, they really take us inside the school, the culture there, the specific rules.
Yeah, and the incident itself, of course, but also, crucially, what happened after. The legal side, the school's response.
Yeah.
It's pretty unsettling.
Our goal then is to unpack what this whole tragedy reveals about the kind of pressure put on students and even teachers, in a system where sometimes discipline or the idea of discipline seemed more important than actual safety.
Absolutely.
So you have Ryoko, a good student. People said she was bright, never late usually.
Right.
And she dies trying to beat the clock, trying to get through this massive gate. What rule could possibly be that important?
It really makes you wonder. It's a stark reminder of how bureaucracy, rules for rules' sake, can just ignore the human cost until it's way too late.
Okay, let's set the scene a bit more. Kobe Takatsuka High School, Hyogo Prefecture, 1990. You mentioned it wasn't exactly top tier academically.
That's right. It wasn't known for, stellar grades or university entrance rates. So, like many institutions in that spot, they decided to build their reputation elsewhere.
On discipline.
Exactly. They focused intensely on conduct, on rules, on strict regulation. And the main gate, well, that became the ultimate symbol of this focus. The absolute deadline, 8:30 a.m. sharp.
And this gate, it wasn't just like a normal chain link fence. Describe it for us.
No, this was serious. It was heavy-duty steel, about 1.5 meters high, 6 meters long, and it weighed, get this, 250 kilograms.
A quarter of a ton.
Precisely. And that weight is absolutely key to understanding what happened. If you arrived even a second after 8:30 when that gate slammed shut.
You were officially late, and that meant punishment.
Oh yeah, immediate penalties. And they weren't minor. Yeah. They were designed to be a serious deterrent.
So what exactly happened if you were late? What were these penalties?
Well, first, there was the physical part. You had to run 2 laps around the school's 400-meter track. That's 800 meters.
800 meters.
Followed by 10 to 20 squats. So you'd start your school day completely exhausted.
Right before class, or as we'll see, right before exam.
And it wasn't just physical. The school was meticulous about tracking this. Every instance of lateness or absence, it went into these little pocket notebooks, smutfook they call them.
And parents saw these.
Parents had to sign off on them, so the pressure came from home too. But then there was the public aspect. Sometimes during school events, like open houses, they'd actually display the lateness statistics publicly.
So public shaming was built right into the system.
Absolutely. For the students, and by extension, their families, It was a powerful tool for compliance.
Okay, so who came up with this whole system, this philosophy, and who is the person actually, enforcing it at the gate?
The architect, the man behind the philosophy, was the principal, Nomura Atsuo. He was 59 at the time.
And his core belief?
Very clear, very firm. He stated, lateness and absence are the root cause of moral misconduct. He genuinely seemed to believe that this kind of strictness was essential to refine students.
Refine them? Refine them for what?
For Japanese society, as he saw it. This idea of refinement, it connects back to, post-war Japan's focus on building a highly disciplined, punctual workforce. Loyalty, efficiency, fitting in.
So school was like a training ground for being a compliant worker.
In many ways, yes. The education system was often seen as needing to stamp out excessive individualism, create uniformity. If you couldn't even be on time, how could you function in that highly structured society? That was the thinking.
Makes sense in a chilling way. Okay, so Nomura is the architect. Who's the enforcer? The guy at the gate.
That was the chief disciplinary teacher, Toshihiko Hosoi. He was 39.
And he had a reputation.
He did. He taught at a technical school before, and apparently had a background in judo, which, would certainly make him seem intimidating to students.
Did he have a personal philosophy about this? A motto?
Yes, he did. His guiding principle was, I believe that strictness is the kindness a teacher offers students.
Strictness is kindness. Okay.
So he saw his role, even the harshness, as being ultimately for the student's own good. His specific job was to be at that main gate every morning and physically close that 250-kilo gate right at 8:30.
How did that whole process work each morning? Was it just him standing there?
No, it was more organized, more pressure than that. The local subway station, Station Chu, was about a 15-minute walk away.
Right.
So the school positioned 3 disciplinary teachers along that route, kind of like shepherds, herding the students towards the school.
Hurting them.
Yeah. And then Hosoi would be at the finish line, at the gate. And witnesses said he would loudly count down the final seconds, 10, 9, 8.
Creating this frantic last-minute dash every single day.
Exactly. A high-stakes race against the clock, fueled by the fear of those punishments.
And it's that desperation that leads us to July 6th, 1990, and to Ryoko Ishida.
Yes, Ryoko, 15 years old, 10th grade, and crucially, it was the first day of final exams.
So the pressure was already high.
Immensely high. And she wasn't usually late, remember? But sources say she was nervous about the exams, hadn't slept well, maybe stayed up reading.
Okay.
She ended up missing her usual train, got to the station late. So that 15-minute walk became a desperate sprint.
So picture the scene. Hosoi starts the countdown. What happens at the gate?
Well, by the time he's down to the last 15 seconds or so, most kids running late have probably just given up. They accept they'll have to do the run.
Right.
But Ryoko and one other student, a boy, they're still sprinting, going full tilt.
Trying to make it.
The boy just barely manages to slip through the narrowing gap as the gate is closing. But his school bag, like a heavy book bag, gets snagged for a second.
Oh, no.
And Ryoko sees this. The gate is still moving. It's almost shut. The boy's bag is momentarily in the way.
And she has maybe a split second to decide.
Exactly. She's desperate, doesn't want the punishment, the shame, especially on an exam day.
Yeah.
So she makes a fateful decision. She ducks her head down low,
Trying to slide under
the snagged bag and through that tiny closing gap before it seals completely.
And right at 8:30,
Hosoi pushes the gate fully closed, forcefully.
that 250-kilo gate.
Yes. And Ryoko's head, it was crushed, caught between the moving steel gate and the stationary concrete wall or pillar it closed against.
Just horrific.
Instant, massive skull fracture, severe brain injury. They rushed her to the hospital, but there was nothing they could do. She died about 2 hours later, around 10:30 a.m.
And this is where the school's reaction, the administration's priorities, become really disturbing. What did Principal Nomura do?
Well, first, he did not cancel the final exams.
What?
The students, including Ryoko's own classmates who had just seen this happen, they had to continue taking their test.
That's unbelievable. And what else?
The other thing, which immediately raised flags, Nomura ordered the school groundskeepers to get hoses and water
Oh.
and wash away the bloodstains at the gate area. Before the police arrived, before any forensic investigation could properly take place.
Cleaning the scene. That looks incredibly suspicious, like tampering with evidence.
It absolutely suggested that the priority was managing the image, controlling the narrative, minimizing the horror, rather than, full transparency or helping the investigation.
And did this attitude continue?
It did. The very next day, Nomura called a school-wide assembly. He even broadcast his speech over loudspeakers so everyone outside could hear.
And what was his message to these traumatized students? Was it one of compassion, accountability?
Not at all. It was, frankly, a shocking example of victim blaming. He essentially told the students that Ryoko's death was their fault, collectively.
How?
He said, and this is a quote, "This would not have happened if you had all been 10 minutes earlier. You lack responsibility."
He blamed the students for not being earlier. Not the rule, not the gate, not the system.
Precisely. He turned it back on them. Said they needed to reflect on their conduct, their lack of punctuality. No mention of questioning the rule itself.
That's just staggering. Did anything change structurally after this? Did they at least get rid of the gate?
Eventually, yes. The heavy steel gate was replaced with a much lighter standard fence, although apparently there was some internal debate about whether changing it would somehow disrespect Ryoko's memory.
Disrespect her memory by making things safer.
It shows the kind of thinking they were trapped in. The Hyogo Educational Board also paid the family compensation 60 million yen.
Okay, money was paid, but what about real accountability for the people involved? How did Nomura, the principal who set all this up, fare?
Well, Nomura quickly blamed Hosoi, the teacher who closed the gate. Then Nomura voluntarily resigned. But, and this is key, he kept his full teaching pension.
So he designed the system, potentially ordered a cleanup, blamed his subordinate, and walked away with his retirement intact.
That's how it played out. The other two disciplinary teachers, the ones hurting the students, they were completely cleared.
And Hosoi, the enforcer.
Toshihiko Hosoi was arrested. He was charged with professional negligence resulting in death. Later, it was up to unintentional homicide.
Was there evidence he knew the gate was dangerous?
Yes. Evidence came out during the trial showing he'd actually been warned before. Students had suffered injuries, bruised legs, bags getting caught and damaged from him closing the gate forcefully while they were rushing.
So he knew there was a risk. What was his sentence?
He was convicted and sentenced to 1 year in prison, but the sentence was suspended for 3 years, meaning he didn't actually serve jail time unless he reoffended.
A suspended sentence for a death caused by negligence he'd been warned about.
Yes. Interestingly, Hosoi later wrote a book defending his actions, arguing he never intended to harm Ryoko, that his view was blocked by the gate itself as it closed, and that he was just doing his job, following the rules set by the school.
Following orders, essentially.
That was his argument.
Now, this whole horrible incident, it didn't happen in a vacuum, did it? What did reporting at the time reveal about the broader school culture in that area? In Hyogo?
No, it absolutely wasn't isolated. Investigative reports from 1990 painted a really disturbing picture of widespread, excessive, and sometimes violent discipline in Hyogo schools.
Like what? Give us some examples.
I mean, truly shocking things. In one case, disciplinary teachers reportedly took 2 students accused of extortion to a beach, dug holes, and buried them in the sand up to their necks for 20 minutes.
Buried them? My God.
Another report mentioned a PE coach who routinely used physical assault on athletes, supposedly to make them perform better.
So physical violence was almost normalized in the name of discipline.
It seems like it in some corners. And the control went way beyond just physical stuff. The level of regulation was intense.
What kind of rules are we talking about?
Extreme micromanagement, strict rules on hairstyles, down to the millimeter, uniform regulations, bans on dating, bans on going to the movies, even bans on being out after sunset. No video games.
Total control over their lives, inside and outside school.
And sometimes deeply humiliating things. There were reports of public underwear color checks for girls. Imagine that. Public humiliation used as a tool. There were even isolated reports of things like students being forced to lick a teacher's shoe.
It sounds less like education and more like subjugation.
When you put it all together, the violence, the extreme rules, the humiliation, and then connect it back to Principal Nomura's idea of refining students.
Yeah.
The core issue becomes pretty clear. This was a system where the appearance of order, the image of strict compliance, the reputation of the institution, it all became far more important than the actual safety, dignity, and well-being of the young people in their care.
The system protected the leadership, punished the lower-level enforcer, and even blamed the victim.
Tragically, yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened here.
So to wrap up this deep dive, we see how a rule, maybe initially intended just to teach punctuality, mutated into this deadly hazard.
Right. And the tragedy forced one small change. They got rid of the dangerous gate. But the deeper issue, that culture of absolute rigidity that valued rules over life, that wasn't really addressed. It just found a scapegoat.
The story of Ryoko Ishida is just such a stark example of that tension, isn't it?
It really is.
And it makes you think, this isn't just about Japan in 1990. You see echoes of this pressure in education systems everywhere, especially ones focused intensely on results and conformity. So the question we leave you with is this. When does that drive for standards, for discipline, cross a line? When does it stop being education and start becoming oppressive? When does a system become so rigid, so brittle, that it can't bend to protect a human life?
Something to definitely reflect on.